every year in the NFL, there's always a team that everybody expects to suck that ends up making it to the playoffs. Last year, it was the Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders. The year before that, it was the Houston Texans with C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, their first season there. This year, the sleeper team that everybody expects to be bad, that's going to make it to the playoffs possibly, is going to be the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans have Cam Ward, who is the most disrespected number one overall pick in the history of the NFL. It was disgraceful and distasteful that ESPN only gave this brother 2 seconds of screen time, ruining his moment in favor of propping up Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, when Cam Ward was the best thing to happen to Miami football since the early 2000s. In his single season in South Florida, he broke all of Miami's single season passing records. Cam Ward is the truth. You don't go from being a 0-star recruit out of high school to the first overall pick if there wasn't something special about you. Cam Ward balled out at 3 different schools. At Incarnate Ward, he was the best player in FCS. Then he transfers to a higher level of competition at Washington State and becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12. Then he transfers to Miami to improve his draft stock for one more season, playing even more difficult competition, and becomes the best quarterback in all of college football. You don't have that rapid amount of growth and development if there wasn't a special trait about you. And what's special about Cam Ward is that he just has this aura around him that guys want to run through a brick wall for him. His receivers that he's going to be throwing to are going to get elevated, and they're going to be better than what they truly are, because he's that kind of quarterback that brings the best out of everybody that he plays with. Cam Ward, to me, is already a borderline top 10 quarterback without playing a single snap. Quarterbacks that have had dominant rookie seasons like Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix, what they all have had in common with Cam Ward is that they played for 3-4 years in college football as starting quarterbacks at that level. So therefore, the transition to the league was more easier for them with the amount of experience that they got before taking a single snap at this level. The Tennessee Titans last season had a great defense that was held back by terrible quarterback play. If it wasn't for Mason Rudolph being average, and then Will Levis being Santa's helper, especially in the red zone, taking points off the board for this team, Will Levis by himself costed the Tennessee Titans 3-4 games that they easily could have won, but they didn't because of how loosey-goosey he was with the football. You're not going to have a quarterback in Cam Ward that hurts the team that way. You're not going to have a quarterback that you had to avoid putting the ball in his hands because you don't trust him to make the right decision. He may have a few turnovers here and there because he tries to do too much, because he plays a lot of hero ball. But if you're the Tennessee Titans, you can live with those kinds of mistakes because you can learn from them. And the Titans have a pretty good supporting cast around Cam Ward. They have what should be a really good offensive line because they have one of the better offensive line coaches in the NFL and Bill Callahan. They have an underrated group of wide receivers. Calvin Ridley, if you ask any receiver in the NFL right now to name their top 5 receivers, they're going to have Calvin Ridley either on that list or honorable mention that they make sure to bring up. Calvin Ridley last season had 1,000 yards receiving with Mason Rudolph and Will Levis being his starting quarterback. So imagine what he can do with a way better quarterback in Cam Ward. They have elite Ironmaner, a.k.a. the Travis Hunter Destroyer. He put up 200 yards and 2 touchdowns on Travis Hunter a few years ago. He's going to be a great playmaker. You have Cam Ward's tag team partner from Miami and Xavier Restrepo. Then they also have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, who are a really underrated 1-2 punch duo at running back. And as long as Cam Ward can play good football, this defense should play at a top 13 level or better. And you possibly could see the Tennessee Titans in the playoffs this year when nobody expects them to be. The AFC South is not good. The Houston Texans have an elite defense, a way better defense than the Tennessee Titans, but their offense is a lot to be desired. We don't know how good the Texans' offensive line is going to be. Texans fans can say that it's going to be improved, but you don't know that for sure because you thought last year was going to be improved. You have a new offensive coordinator. Is he going to be an upgrade from Bobby Slowick? He should be, but how big of an upgrade is he going to be? So for as many questions that we have about the Tennessee Titans and how good this offense is going to be with Cam Ward, we have just as many questions about the Houston Texans. And the Titans are a little bit ahead of the Texans because their offensive line is a little bit better. Their wide receiving core is a lot more proven. Yeah, we know that we are all taking Nico Collins over Calvin Ridley, but the other guys that they have behind them, I mean, who else do they have behind Nico Collins down there in Houston? So the same questions that you can have about the Titans, you can have about the Texans offense too. The Titans are laughing at everybody that thinks that they're just going to be some stepping stool for the AFC South to put their weight on when that couldn't be further from the truth. The Titans are a team that nobody sees coming because this is an underrated team. Cam Ward is going to give them top 10 level quarterback play. There's just something special about this guy. I remember first watching him at Incarnate Word in the FCS Championship, and I watched a lot of him at Washington State. And when he came to Miami, that's when I had my best year ever as a Miami Hurricane fan, because for the first time in my 12 years being a Miami fan, I felt like Miami actually had a chance to compete at the highest level of college football again because of the impact of Cam Ward. There's just something infectious about his energy. It's like when you just look at Cam Ward, he's one of those guys that you don't want to doubt, because if you do, he's going to prove you wrong. And I saw the same thing with Jalen Hurts. When he came out of college, you just knew that he was going to win due to all the adversity that he had to overcome. As I said earlier, nobody goes from being a no-star recruit with pretty much no Division I FBS offers at all to becoming a number 1 overall pick if there wasn't something special about them. Warren Moon didn't unretire that number 1 jersey for no reason. You want to know why Warren Moon unretired his jersey for Cam Ward? Because he sees a lot of himself in Cam Ward. They were underlooked coming out of high school. They had to jump around in college football to prove themselves. And even when Warren Moon got an opportunity, a lot of people still didn't believe in him. He had to prove himself in the CFL for years, dominating that league to finally get an opportunity to dominate in the NFL. And just like how people disrespected the talent of Warren Moon, they are doing the same thing with Cam Ward. But the disrespected will eventually be the respected because of how good Cam Ward is going to be. I don't give a damn if he's going up against the Denver Broncos in week 1. Cam Ward shouldn't be scared of the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos should be scared of Cam Ward because they don't know the kind of dog that they're walking into the cage with week 1 when they step on the field and they see that demon from Texas that is Cam Timothy Ward. They don't know about the aura that this brother has. They don't know about how his teammates are going to be ready to go to war for him. There's an energy that Cam Ward has that is just undescribable that the NFL doesn't have the ability to sense because they were too worried being overly invested in glazing Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. And I love both of those guys, but Cam Ward is going to make the NFL pay for disrespecting him in the NFL draft. Don't be shocked if the Titans win the AFC South and they get into the playoffs this year because of how good Cam Ward is going to be. His rookie season will be just as good as what you saw out of Jaden Daniels last year.